Hi everyone, we're going to take a look at our Gnome Valentine tiered tray set today, specifically taking a look at how to apply scrapbook paper to your wood to add some different interest to your project. So our tray set consists of a cute little exo garland that you can tie on your tiered tray or wherever else you'd like to put it. It simply has red with a mix of red and white to make this nice pink. You'll have paint in your kit that you could do it with white and pink or whatever combination you'd like. So you get that in your kit. You will also have the love. I did mine in the red and white, as well as this heart, which is two pieces, a lacy frame and then the red heart background. All three of those pieces, as well as the rest of the painted sections, we do very simply with either using a foam brush. I like to put my finger on there, use this side, and just do a tap motion with a small amount of paint. Or you also have makeup wedges in your kit. I'm going to use that today on my little quick demonstration. When we paint all of our 3D wood pieces, we use small amounts of paint. We always try and go in an up and down motion because that really gives you a nice clean edge. So I'm just going to dip my makeup sponge here, or any kind of little foam sponge. I have some round ones in the shop that I really like to use. And I'm just tapping in an up and down motion. Chalk paint is fairly thick, so you may see some texture, which will flatten out a little bit as it dries. So basically what you're gonna do is just continue that process for all of your pieces. Now some kits have bigger sections or your large background for your rounds. In those cases, you may want to do this. However, you might prefer a paintbrush or even a roller. I like the baby wipe method by taking some paint on a wet baby wipe and giving it a faux stain. And you could also do that with some of your large pieces on this tray. Okay, so that's really all there is to doing it. You get a nice clean edge when you do that up and down motion. Okay, so you would do that with all of your wood pieces. Your kit also includes a tag that says "Be Mine," as well as your round gnome, and he sits on a stand. Cute little hearts cut out of his feet. This was last year's sample. We used these two particular scrapbook pages on our shop sample. We can't always get the same paper. I will have a variety of paper in the shop that you can pick from. And if we mail it out to you, we always try and make two papers that coordinate. These are the two that I have today. I already glued on my round so I can demonstrate. It does need a little time to dry. I'm going to go and apply the paper to the tag section right now so you can kind of see how that works. When you get our lasered pieces, most of the time you can tell the front from the back because of the flashback of the laser. You can see this has a clean side. This one has the backer. Usually the wood on the backer is maybe not as pristine as the front. So in 99% of the cases, we always want to paint and use the front of the lasered piece. For the scrapbook portion of this, I'm actually going to use this as my backer. I could paint it. I could paint this. It really doesn't matter. I could paint the backs of any of my pieces if I want to. I'm going to just leave this in this nice pristine shape for the back of my tag. So I'm going to go ahead and glue my scrapbook paper on the other side. So all I'm really doing is I have some glue here. It's clear. I'm picking it up on my foam brush and I'm going to apply this pretty liberally on my tag shape, getting it all on there. And I always try and cover the whole thing. And then once I have the whole thing done, I always take a quick trip around the edges just to make sure that I didn't miss getting any glue on the edges, because that's really the most important part, is that we want to make sure that our scrapbook paper sticks to the edges. So I think you can see that shininess of the glue. I have it covering the whole thing. It's not super thick, like there's no real puddles there, but it's definitely covering the whole tag. And then I'm going to take my scrapbook paper and I'm going to apply it. Now, you can do this a couple ways. Sometimes I will put my scrapbook paper face down and I will apply my wood to it that way. With this piece, and because this has some specific small lines, I'm going to line this up with two of the edges so that I have it straight, and you can kind of see on the back there. If there's any kind of a pattern on your scrapbook paper, you want to make sure that you have it on there straight so that your pattern doesn't look wonky later on. So I've got that on there. I'm going to make sure I give a good press around all my edges so that it is glued down. Okay, we're going to set that aside to dry and bring back the one that I already applied. I did this about 15 or 20 minutes ago, so it is dry enough for what we need to do right now. In your kit, you will receive a piece of scrapbook paper. It's a little bit more coarse than usual. And what I like to do with it is I like to kind of take it at an angle. If you can kind of see here, sort of at an angle, and I kind of go down. And I'm going to do that around the piece. Now I'm doing it up in the air here for video's sake. What I find is really easy to do is to put your piece on the edge of the table so that you can kind of go off the piece away from the table, and that will make it look a little bit easier than what I'm doing here in the video. I mean, I can lay it down and sort of kind of mimic what I'm talking about. I want to be careful that I don't scratch my scrapbook paper because this sandpaper is a little coarse. If you prefer, you can kind of go back and forth. But again, you want to make sure that it's on an angle because your sandpaper will scratch up your scrapbook paper. So I'm going to kind of just continue this around. I'm going to go side to side just because for video's sake, I need to have it flattened. It's a little bit tricky to do up in the air. But if you do side to side, you just keep in mind that you don't want to scratch the surface. So you don't want to do it flat. You want to have it angled. So that works pretty easy. Like I said, I usually put it on the edge of the table and sort of go down. If you don't want to use the sandpaper, an actual fingernail file works great to do this as well. So you get a nice clean edge, and your scrapbook paper, if you put enough glue on there, is super adhered and ready for your gnome. So my gnome here is not painted, but I will bring him over to show you just how cute he would be. So keeping in mind my color combinations there, you might want to do a pale pink hat with his white beard, maybe, you know, or a darker red hat with pale pink hands, you know, whatever combination you want. You also could take your heart here, and you're going to have some leftover scrapbook paper from your tag. You could glue this onto his heart that he's holding so he could have a different color for his heart. I just did this one with the red for both. You might have enough left over with your scraps that came off of your circle to do the heart, do the opposite thing on your tag, or I know many of you have scrapbook paper at home that you could use for the project. Another great thing that works is paper napkins. Separate the napkins from their plies. Usually napkins are 2 or 3 plies, and you can peel them apart and just glue on that top layer that has the design on it. Those you definitely want to make sure that they're super dry because they will tear, but it's the same exact process. Glue it on, let it dry, sand it off. So that makes a fun little design for your projects. So this is our Be Mine gnome tray kit. And you will paint all of your pieces similarly with the makeup sponge or your foam brush. Apply the scrapbook paper and glue it up together. Reminder that when you're gluing, puncture your tube of super glue with that little knob, but be super careful because super glue requires patience, and you don't want to be sticking your fingers together. In the shop, we use bottles. You may want to invest in one of those. What other fun things can we say about our gnome tray? He's super cute and perfect for your Valentine decoration. Thank you, guys.